Paranormal in Pennsylvania may discuss topics such as suicide, murder, and other potentially upsetting things. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome to Paranormal in Pennsylvania,
where we discuss history and haunts.
Today's story takes us to Altoona, Pennsylvania. I'm Sarah.
And I'm David.
Let's get into it. So today we are talking about the Baker Mansion. And we got to visit this place, and it's absolutely beautiful. But it was also quite imposing. It's like a huge house.
Was it? I'm like struggling to kind of remember it.
Remember, we drove up. There was like the little office that we drove past, and then we drove into the circle. They had like the garden, and you were like, oh, what a pretty garden area.
This was when we were driving. They had like a visitors center.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm with you.
It's just imposing to me, like this giant house, 2 stories, big columns. Like it has a really big presence, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Entire stone exterior. It almost gives you like a fort or like fortress vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Castle.
Yeah. So for the history comes directly from the museum website. So all of this is from the same source. It was originally owned by Elias Baker and his family, and he owned the Allegheny Furnace in partnership with his cousin beginning in 1836. So these are old people. The family had 4 children: David.
That's me.
Sylvester, Anna, and Margaretta.
Sylvester Stallone?
Yep. It's actually, it was you, Sylvester Stallone. I don't know anybody famous named Anna or Margaretta.
Hathaway?
Well, yeah.
Margaretta, though, I don't know.
Well, she did unfortunately perish in 1839 due to diphtheria at the age of 2.
Oh. That is unfortunate for sure. It's kind of sad. It is sad.
And I mean, back in the 1800s, the early 1800s at that, it's amazing that some of the children survived to older age because germs were everywhere. Anna was the only surviving child that was actually born in the mansion. What?
Germs were everywhere back then, but now they're not everywhere.
Not now.
We really dealt with them. They don't exist.
We've eradicated the germs. You heard it here first. Trust me, I have a master's degree in biotechnology.
Yep. That's why you can definitely go lick a doorknob.
Yeah, you lick the doorknobs. My gosh, my dad is going to listen to this. He's a microbiologist, and my mom as well, who's also a microbiologist, and they're going to be like, I cannot believe that you would say that. So for noteworthy reasons, I am joking about the germs being eradicated. I just mean, what I should say is germ theory was different back then, right? Things weren't as sterilized. It was harder to survive to adulthood.
Right. When was germ theory even established? Like, was that even a thing at that point?
Yeah,
I knew it was germ theory was in the 1800s, but when?
I don't know, Louis Pasteur, pasteurization.
Must have been after the Civil War then.
Well, it's from France, I believe, so.
Right, but like the Americans were not practicing germ theory during the Civil War, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, there was a whole thing, like people thought until I believe the early 1900s that miasma, which was like the air from dead people, would spread germs and stuff like that. So I think there was a long time until there was any good understanding of microbes.
Right. I mean, like, they're not terribly wrong from that, because like through like sweat or something, you could still like, transmit, right?
From a dead body sweating.
If there was like still perspiration on them.
Well, it depends on how long the microbe can live.
This is true as well. Yeah.
And how it's passed. I mean, not every microbe can pass through sweat. So, but they thought that even being near it, like they thought that it was airborne, essentially, is what miasma was.
Gotcha.
But either way.
So like their aura was giving sickness.
Yes. Either way, sanitation and medical care were not what they are today in 1839. In 1844, Elias bought out his cousin from the furnace and commissioned a brand new home. Baltimore architect Robert Carey Long Jr. designed and constructed the home, which began in 1845. It was completed in 1849 for a total of $15,000, which is apparently around $700,000 today, which seems low for what that house was.
Also, the 4-year build time is what's doing it for me as well.
What about it?
It's a very large home to be built in 4 years.
Without exceedingly high costs, you mean?
Right.
Because I believe he could do it. I mean, he owned the Allegheny furnace.
So the furnace would imply like metalworking, right?
Yeah, I just mean he was likely wealthy.
Oh, okay.
Like he had the resources, and he probably knew people.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was about to say like, but the whole exterior of the house is stone.
Mm-hmm.
Like the furnace doesn't help here. But yeah. Okay, I'm with you. He definitely had the means to do it quickly. Which is just interesting that it was only 4 years.
Which is an interesting point that you make about the metalworking, because even the porch rails and stuff were made of stone. There wasn't really any metalwork that we saw, was there? At least on the exterior.
No, but I'm not sure when metalworking really or metal materials were started to be used like widely in construction.
Neither am I guess. Either way, Elias died in 1864, having only spent 15 years in this beautiful home that he commissioned. Sylvester and Anna remained single and both lived in the mansions until their death. Anna died in 1914, with the mansion officially closing afterwards. In 1922, the county leased the mansion as a museum, and they fully purchased it in 1941. In 2001, there were renovations done to return the exterior of the building to the original appearance, and in 2015 and 2016, there were more renovations done internally to the mansion. It's open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 to 3, and admission is $10 for adults.
No, and it says restored to like the previous. Was there like a lot of dramatic changes, or just like, like some like stones fell out of place here, like, like a facelift?
I think it was mostly a facelift.
Gotcha.
So there's one primary haunting here, and it's really interesting and very appropriate for February, the month of love. So the ghost here is that of Anna Baker. So remember, she lived here single until her death, and you might be thinking, seems strange for the daughter of a wealthy ironmaster in the late 1800s to remain unmarried.
That is really strange. Tell me all about it.
I will. I certainly will. The story goes that Anna fell in love with one of her father's workers. They kept their relationship hidden since they had a large wealth disparity, and she assumed that her father would not approve of him. Indeed, when they finally confessed their love following a proposal, the family did not respond well. Elias responded with rage over the secret relationship, banning Anna from marrying or even seeing this man. Elias tried to find her a husband, but she had vowed that if she could not marry her one true love, she would die alone. And indeed, she did refuse every single suitor.
I mean, sticking to your guns, I feel like the Taylor Swift song is very applicable here.
Sticking to your guns?
No, not that. The name of the song where, or is it a Taylor Swift where it's like I tried to talk to the dad. The dad said no, but I'm still going to marry your daughter anyways.
That's
not Taylor Swift. 100% not Taylor Swift.
It's a song sung by a man.
Yeah, I realized. Yeah, as I was walking that logical thought, I'm like, wait, what am I talking about? It's definitely not a Taylor Swift song.
You better watch out. Taylor Swift is going to marry your daughters anyways. Taylor Swift, welcome to the gay agenda. No, so it is like that. But Anna really did stick to her guns, and she waited for Elias to die. When Elias finally died, she sought out the man, only to find that he had, quote, betrayed her, in her eyes, and married another woman. Now, yes, that sucks because she waited the whole time, but she's the daughter of a wealthy ironmaster who gets to sit in her cushy mansion, Yeah,
and also, what are you going to do if, like, the father refuses? You either, like, run away, or you and accept that you're probably going to be impoverished or not as wealthy as you previously were, in the case for those two, or you marry somebody else.
Yeah.
In the case for the guy, I kind of get it. It's not going to happen. She's not willing to run off with him and elope. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Gotta move on.
Well, I guess you could run off and elope. I was going to say, I think women back then had to get their father to sign off on their marriages.
Oh, really?
In the 1800s? Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I don't know.
I think so. I think it was like, they were like property. Women were like property.
I wouldn't know about that marriage process because when I married you, it was, not 1800s.
It was not the 1800s. Actually, this whole time, we've been ghosts.
Oh, there's the twist.
Yeah. So People might be thinking, okay, yes, this is this love story. I get it. It's February, Sarah. What about the haunting? Anna was so upset that she returned home to the mansion following that this man remarried, and she vowed to never leave the mansion. And that's when her odd behavior started. Some suspect that she just lost her mind in grief and she just snapped. But she would often wear a white gown around the house, like a wedding gown, and dance to music that came from a music box. So that's the story behind the haunting. And we have a little bit of like spooky, creepy behavior from Anna. Now the actual haunting. So Anna is spending her afterlife in the mansion as well and refused to leave. The mirror in Anna's bedroom there is said to watch people as they enter. So you can see Anna's reflection in the mirror and she's looking out as people enter, watching them, almost as if she's trapped in the mirror.
That's spooky, but I wouldn't say that it's the mirror watching people then, right? That'd be like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. That feels strange to me, but I guess it still works.
Well, and it makes me wonder too, because a lot of times people say that you can trap spirits in mirrors and stuff, and spirits can be portals or looking glasses and etc. So is she trapped in the mirror, or are you seeing the reflection of her spirit and it's only manifesting in the mirror?
Oh, I like that far better than trapped in the mirror. But then again, that would be the first, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first instance we've had of a spirit trapped in a mirror.
It would be. But I don't think she's trapped in the mirror because of some of the other hauntings. So let's get to those.
What if she sleeps there?
In the mirror?
In the mirror.
Like it's like a vampire, but...
Yeah, it's like her crypt.
That's funny. So there's a preserved wedding dress in the room that was worn by the daughter of another rich ironmaster, Elizabeth Bellwood, because remember, this is a historical museum for the county, and it is said to sway as if dancing, just like Anna's white dress used to. And the music box in the room is said to still play on its own, in correspondence with the dress swaying. So some believe that this is Anna playing the music and Anna putting herself into the dress.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I guess that I could also see, though, a world where wind or something somehow activates the music box as well.
Maybe.
Like where there's a mechanism that's really loose.
But the dress is in a glass box.
Oh, right. I forgot about that part.
So it would be hard to trigger that movement, I think.
The dress being, unless like it's over... like there's no bottom on the box, or there's a hole in the box or something.
It's over a vent. No.
Yeah, it's over a vent, and ooh, spooky.
Yeah, right. Some have also seen the case around the wedding dress shake so fiercely that they think it might shatter, which they attribute to Anna's anger. And it does seem cruel to put a wedding dress on display in Anna's room. Whether or not you believe her spirit is there, why is it in Anna's room?
I hear what you're saying, but to me that makes the most logical sense of where to put that in terms of like the storytelling aspect of the home, of its history.
I just think it sounds cruel.
Yeah, but like, I feel like it'd be even stranger to have the wedding dress like in the study. Like, why is the dress in the study? Like, what's the significance of it being in this room? What about like a ballroom?
Like, put the dress in a ballroom. I don't know. It just seems cruel. Like, I feel for Anna. She waited her whole life for this man, and then he wouldn't marry her because he already has a different life. She's angry at herself, probably angry at her dad, angry at this man, and then she just dances around in a wedding dress the rest of her life and now haunts it. Sad story.
But what if that gives her comfort? So having the dress gives her spirit comfort because it's still, even though it's like a rather, sad ending to her life, what if that's still, I wake up, my dress is there?
But it's not her dress. It's Elizabeth Bellwood's dress.
Oh, right.
That's why I think it's cruel, because it is an actual wedding dress. If it was Anna's white dress, it would make more sense to me. So it makes sense that she's angry. But there are other strange occurrences at the mansion, too. So Sharon Imler was a tour guide at the mansion from 1988 to 1990. One night in 1989, she was closing up the mansion for the night. She exited along with her coworker, who was also closing for the night, only to see that the shutters she had just closed had somehow opened again. And this is apparently a common occurrence of Elias, who likes to open the shutters.
I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, if I'm not mistaken, you would open the shutters at night to allow like cooler air to flow into the house.
Would you? Opening the shutters at night seems dicey. What if someone just climbed in your window?
I mean, sure, but like if you're on the second floor, how is somebody really getting up there?
Yeah, if you're on the second floor, but if you're on the first floor.
Right, but also it's a pretty decent sized plot of land that they live on.
You're right. And it did have an iron gate around it.
Yeah, so
and I'm sure they had guards.
I don't know about guards or anything, but like the likelihood that another human being is like gonna like hop through your window.
Mm-hmm. They at least had staff, I'm sure.
Right.
So one other tour guide reported hearing a cane tapping on the floor, and Elias was known to use a cane later in life, so again, this haunting is attributed to him. In fact, he's known to haunt the double parlor room where people regularly see an imprint of his body laying on the couch.
That's pretty cool.
I know. I think it's so cool. But I also think it's an interesting dichotomy that Anna is stuck with her father.
Yeah. I don't know how you want to expound on that. Like, do you go and say, like, are they living in the afterlife in misery together? Or is she sad or maybe whatever and he's fine? Or vice versa?
Yeah, maybe
how do you think that works?
Yeah, maybe they both are just like, oh my gosh. Or maybe they are not having knowledge of each other. Maybe they can't perceive each other.
That was the other thing I was going to say is what if they just don't even know?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of sad in and of itself. Like, imagine living in a house with your dad and you don't even know it.
It doesn't sound like they have the greatest relationship.
That's true.
So I don't know if that's truly lost either.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not to the daughter.
Yeah, I really thought you were going to make a dad joke there, and I really was trying to brace myself for no reaction.
No.
So there was an investigation here led by Patty Wilson, who captured 3 EVPs. They were captured on the second floor in Elias's office and in the single parlor. So remember, the double parlor is where he's seen on the couch. Other investigations revealed orbs captured in the double parlor doorway and a photo of the mirror in Anna's bedroom. So there's orbs in the mirror in Anna's bedroom. In the mirror photo, it also looks as if someone's wearing the wedding dress, almost. So that's where I think it does give credence to maybe she's inserting herself into this wedding dress.
Right.
And living out her fantasy.
Right. The spirit orbs in the mirror and only the mirror is a very interesting thing.
I agree, but I also think mirrors can distort light so much, it's really challenging to know.
Definitely, that's where I'm at with that, is the distortion of light from multiple sources.
Yeah.
If you were to like make that room pitch black, would you then still see spirit orbs in the mirror?
Well, you wouldn't be able to tell what the mirror is if the room was pitch black. You wouldn't be able to differentiate the mirror. Are you saying would you see orbs at all?
Yeah, like with like utilizing like night vision, anything like that.
That's a good question. I do wonder. People also report general uneasy feelings and the feeling as if they're not alone on investigations. And we know from experience that you can get inside your head.
Oh yeah, for sure. You can definitely start having a confirmation bias as well, especially if you like are on a tour and they're telling you about these hauntings. You can kind of like put your mind already in that, geared up for that kind of thing.
Yeah, the power of suggestion is very powerful.
Yes, the power of suggestion has much power. Yes.
So, knowing all of this information about the Baker Mansion, would you visit this place of paranormal phenomena?
Yes, I would.
Any caveats?
No caveats.
Yeah, I think I would like to visit it. I think I would, in fact, like to stay here overnight. I don't often say that, but I think, one, it's this beautiful historical mansion, so very cool. And also, I think I would really want to try to connect with Anna's ghost and communicate with her. I don't know that her and I could really relate on many things, but I really would want to get to the bottom of, is she angry? How does she feel about this wedding dress? And even Elias, does he realize he's dead? I think because the ghosts here are named people who we know their history, it makes the investigation more interesting to me.
It does. I mean, like, anytime you have like named ghosts, or like you like to call them characters, right? So like anytime you have characters, it's far more interesting than getting a random spirit or if you get like an EVP or something that just says a word, it's like, well, who is this? Or what was this?
Yeah, well, still very exciting. It's
still, yeah.
The history aspect is what really does it for us, I think. So, yeah, I would definitely go. I would love to go back for a formal investigation. And it sounds like they're open to it to some degree. So that is the history and hauntings of the Baker Mansion in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Thank you for listening to this episode, and tune in next Thursday to see what history and hauntings we discuss next. Stay spooky, my friends.